What's up, Internet? It's another day of the week, so there's another roll to roll. I'm still Benj,
I'm still Chase.
I'm still Dave.
and we're still talking about races. This week, this week we're talking about humans, probably the most popular race in your worlds, or at least that's what the book would have you believe, that there are more humans than anything else. And right out of the gate, they're pretty vanilla. They get a bonus +1 to all of their stats, and that's it. Everything else is fairly standard. They get a language. They're medium-sized creatures. They have a normal 30-foot walking speed, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's your humans. Your option though comes from if your dungeon master allows it, and it's my experience that most of them do. You've got the variant human, wherein you only get 2 points to add to your stats instead of a +1 to all six of your stats, but you get an extra skill, which is probably a big deal, and you get your choice of a feat, and that is enormous. Feats in fifth edition are a lot more powerful than they were in third edition or even fourth edition.
Definitely fourth.
They're big, mostly because you have a choice as you're leveling through your progression of putting more points in your stats that make you better at everything that you do, or you get a feat. So the feat has to be a big deal, right? Thoughts? Go, Chase, go.
So I know me as a DM, there's not even like a conscious thought about players even picking the base human. I know any player that I ever run a game for is going to go with the variant. It's not even the variant. The variant to me is the human. I've never seen anyone pick the plain Jane human. And almost immediately, I know the feat is going to be something to help out that class because there's a feat that pretty much benefits any class in this game. So it's just something as a DM you just preemptively know is going to happen. The skill part is okay. I mean, it's a good thing. I don't have any problems with it. The only big thing that I remind human players about is you can't see in the dark, like at all, as compared to your dwarven friend, your elven friend, all those guys. Yeah, you can't do that. So just know that when I toss you into this deep dark dungeon. And
And I
outside
just
of that,
have a thought.
ooh, hit me.
What if there was a dark vision feat? Well, you just wasted your race choice because you could have been anything else and been better.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a loop of a waste. But and then as far as role playing goes, there's no role playing to it. You're a human. You know what it means to be a human. You know what it means to role play a human. The only thing that I might sprinkle on there, like some salt, would just say, just imagine that you're a human in this fantasy world. So try to act. Role play being surprised when you see a weird race you've never seen before. When you're fighting in dark situations, be terrified. Like don't make your DM want to give you the frightened disadvantaged stuff, but just act like, oh my god, what am I doing? But outside that, there's really not too much to a human. Again, like Ben was saying, that extra feat is a massive deal these days. It's nothing compared to fourth edition, where you pretty much just got them like candy, and they're very small little bites. A feat in fifth edition is a very big deal. That's what makes that variant worth doing to begin with. But on to you, Dave.
So, yeah, again, I don't know why anyone would ever take a base human, because +1 to all of your stats, while on the surface it's 6 ability points. That's cool. But the problem is, most classes only need 1 or 2, maybe 3 to do anything, so the other 3 are kind of wasted points. I know there's no such thing as really wasted point, because it's always better having bigger numbers, but it's not very useful. The 2 ability scores is really good because you get to pick the 2 you need for your class to bump them up a little bit. One thing to note, they have to be 2 different abilities. You can't put 2 points in one ability with that
Yeah.
variant human. The skill proficiency is nice. It depends on the class, because if you're playing a rogue who already gets all the skills, it's not as useful. But if you play a class that doesn't give any skills and you want to pick up something like, I don't know, perception, which everyone should have because everyone should be able to see and hear, pretty
Everyone should have
nice.
perception.
Everyone should have perception in the party, no matter what. You need to find a way to get
My current character
perception.
does not, but everyone else should.
And again, just to reiterate, the feats in 5e are very different because, opposed to 3rd and 4th edition, where they did one thing, feats in 5e are multifaceted, and most of them do at least 2 or 3 different things. We'll get into that a little bit later about the feat system and how it's changed, but that's really good getting one off the bat. And one thing to note is that means you get a feat that you don't have to trade in 2 ability points for. You just get a feat.
Well, in all fairness, you traded in 4 ability points for it.
Again, those 4 ability points you don't need as much because you don't need them in all of your abilities.
And you
You'll
could trade
have
him in for a feat that gives you an ability point. So maybe you only traded in 3.
maybe that's
Valid.
true.
Honestly, the reason the base human is in there is because what if your DM doesn't allow the human variant? But why would your DM not allow the human variant?
And the other thing to note, as Chase said, they don't have dark vision. The only other race in the book that doesn't have dark vision is the Dragonborn. Everyone else in the player's handbook has it. It can be a really, really bad thing not being able to see in the dark when the rest of your party can. You can get over it because there's, I think, a magic item that gives you dark vision, but you'll eventually get it or you won't because magic item.
Owl goggles. Cough, cough.
Goggles of Owl, or whatever they're called. But yeah, that's my take on human. They're easy to play because you are a human. You know how you feel and how you think and how your brain works.
If you are listening to this, you are human.
Probably.
Human. Almost surely human. You don't have to try and get into a mindset of something that's going to live for 700 years, or something that's only going to live for like 30 or 40. Although maybe you only are because you are human, and I don't know your life. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about the human as far as that goes.
I would also like to point out that even the player's handbook states, it's like a little blarb towards the beginning of the human, that the human, not nickname, but what they would go by is everyone's second best friend. Because I can't think of a campaign that's a standard Wizards of the Coast campaign setting where humans just aren't literally everywhere. And you're
Well, I really like that they did this in this edition of the Player's Handbook where they've got, the other races' opinions of your race. Like how elves feel about dwarves and how dwarves feel about elves. And for the humans, the human is everyone's second best friend. Because your best friend is the same race as you.
right.
But if I can't hang out with another dwarf, I'll hang out with a human.
Yeah.
That's okay. They get along with everybody. And if they annoy me, they're only going to be alive for like 20 more years. Like whatever. Whatever. Then maybe I'll hang out with their kids. Maybe their kids will be cool.
That's unfortunately very valid.
Everything lives longer than humans except maybe half orcs.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's ever been a half orc that like died from old age. Like cancer is not their concern. They're worried about a spear in the eye. They're not worried about, oh no, I've got the cancer. It's oh no, I've got a gaping head wound.
Valid. But we'll get to half orcs later, Binge. Gosh.
I'm so excited.
Oh, I will say though, internet and to other DMs out there and even other players, humans do come with a perk slash, I don't want to call it a perk, but I'm gonna call it a perk for the sake of this video, that no other race really has, which is, and Binge will actually have a little story for this for a campaign we ran previously. You can use all the entire beautiful rainbow of humans. So where is your human from? Is he light skin, dark skin, tan? Does he come from a more Eastern Asian style culture? There's all those variants with a human that you can add to your base role playing of I'm just a plain Jane human, which most other races don't really get that. Most a dwarf is a dwarf is a dwarf, an elf is an elf is an elf.
Well, I mean, you've got your hill dwarf and you've got your mountain dwarf, and we just talked about, you've got your stout halfling and your lightfoot halfling. I mean, you could do the same thing. There's not a statistical difference for them. You can definitely have the rainbow of humans.
And from a campaign we ran previously, I had an entire Eastern culture of all these humans, and the players got hit with some culture shock very fast. So stuff like that from a DM perspective is very fun to role play. If you're having your players go to a city or a town, think about what actually is the culture, and if it is mainly human village or town, who's actually there. It definitely changes the role playing dynamics.
Absolutely. Now, as far as builds go, you can pretty much do whatever. They're humans are not great at any one thing, but they can be good at several of them, right? So how do we feel about different builds, Dave? How do you build your human?
Really, human is a race I would take if I don't want to play like a demi-human race, because they're not really good at anything, but they're also not bad at anything. So if I don't want to min-max and I don't want to like look at all the synergies, I can just grab a human and know that they'll be pretty good at it no matter what I do, especially given the extra skill in the feat. They'll be pretty good at whatever I throw at them, and they'll be easier to roleplay if I don't want to try and figure out what a gnome is thinking today. Can't really point to one class and say that's a human because humans are everything.
Well, and that's kind of what they have in the blurb. There's the best and the worst of all of them. They've got you can because you can put 2 points wherever you want. You can build a human any way you want to. The reason I would play a human as opposed to a different fantasy race is if there's a feat I want. If I want that free feat, if I'm playing a human fighter and I take a feat out of the gate, I'm going to be a beast because fighters get more options for stat and or feat bonuses later. My rule of thumb is 4 stat increases, the rest feats for any character that I play, which means for anything that's not a fighter, 1 feat. But if I use that rule of thumb with a human fighter, I get 4 feats, and that's insane. I wish I could take resilience 4 times, but that's pretty illegal, actually.
See, I actually have a different, but again, internet, I come from a very role-playing mindset for all my characters when I actually get to play. And I would say I actually do have a go-to class for humans. Surprise, surprise. So my go-to class for a human, and this is actually going to make me think I like this class, which is weird because I don't hardly ever play them, but here we go. My go-to class for a human is actually Warlock. And it's mainly for a role-playing standpoint of, I'm this weak human in this magical fantasy world, and I can go to this creature and make a deal with it to earn magic and become powerful. Yeah, that sounds like something I might want to sign up for. So from a role-playing standpoint, that's a go-to reason why I think a human would go Warlock. But there's another bonus to it. I believe it's the Infernal Pact that gives this. But long story short, you get crazy good dark vision, which if you recall earlier, I had said, downside to humans, you can't see in the dark. Infernal Pact Warlock, I think it's like level 3. You can choose some stuff, and one of those is like 120-foot permanent dark vision. That is a beautiful wombo combo for all the other races that assume you can't see them and you see them just fine, and you're throwing very powerful Eldritch Blast at them. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I personally have the go-to for Warlock.
You just said that, and now that seems brilliant to me. And now in my world, every human is a warlock. And I'll tell you why. Because humans don't live that long. They're lazy.
Yeah, exactly, right?
They can just get their power without training.
Exactly.
They can make it
always thought this beautiful.
And now I get powers. And I don't have to go to school to be a wizard.
Right.
I don't have to train to be a fighter. I don't have to work out to be a monk.
You got
I
it.
could just hey bro, can I do magic? How attached are you to your soul? I can take it or leave it. Sure, have at it.
Or if it's a fae,
magic.
How do you feel about being in servitude to me? Hey, yeah, that's fine. Sure. Yeah. What do you need me to do? Or if for an old one, do you mind reading this book? And being a little, do you mind, finding out what's really in the cosmos? And I guess for the newer books, there's some other stuff, but we won't get into all that. But yeah, I've always thought Warlock was a great go-to class for humans, mechanically and for roleplay.
Sure. Well, and again, humans are numerous and varied, so you could have humans, an equal number of humans in every class.
Oh yeah.
I like to think human barbarian because it makes the most sense.
Either way, they're going to be the Swiss Army knife. They are the Swiss Army knife of races.
Yeah. If you don't want to come up with a reason why you chose the class that you chose, be a human. Because, yeah, okay, you're a human. You have to come up with a reason for your half-orc to be a druid. You've got to work to, make that happen. But human, sure, crazy old guy in the woods, I get it. All right, final thoughts. Dave?
I don't really have any. I think I've said everything that needs to be said.
That's kind of the problem with humans, right? It's like they're your guys. They're your buddies.
All right. Well, good deal. All right. Well, that clears us up for the air quotes common races. Next week we will start talking about the uncommon races. Until then, I'm Benj.
I'm Chase still.
I'm Dave.
Keep on rolling.